Okay, so where were we? You guys were just heading outside. Okay, we're already here, I assume. Um, so you come outside into the muddy courtyard, and Graben calls over Braxis, who again is in the middle of unarmed combat drills, and sort of tosses off his closest opponent and starts to head over. Sort of like a surly saunter that like is not disrespectful, but definitely like he's unconcerned with formality. Um, and when comes over, he gives sort of a lazy stop and salute, and Graven introduces the two of you to Private Braxis, who you will be, who he then informs to Braxis that he will be leading you two, specifically the word leading, you two to a goblin encampment to the south on the river Ashaba to take care of the threat that they represent. And they have a quick sort of conversation going back and forth as to like isolating exactly which camp it is, but Braxis seems sort of familiar with the concept that they're there. Braxis himself is a very tall, very strong human, probably about 6 foot tall and 180, 190 pounds. He has this like surly look about his face, but he's like sad a little bit at the same time. It's kind of a funny combo. Short, cut, dark hair, and just a little bit of stubble, like just enough that you can get away with in a military sort of situation. So eventually Braxis kind of turns to the two of you, and he looks amused and agrees with Graven and their assessment to sort of take care of the threat. So he sort of like nods to you and makes sort of a pleased agreement, and eventually he goes to, or looks totally fine with it, and goes to mount up on his horse, which is tied nearby. Just about the time when you hear Captain Bagrill call out from a parapet up on top of the barracks, "You will be proceeding on foot today, Private Braxis." He sort of like betrays his aloof smile just for a second, and you guys catch just like a quick, like filthy scowl before he puts back on a completely unfazed look and grabs his pack off his horse, nods the two of you two in the direction of the right gate, and like, okay, let's go. So on foot, you guys start to travel the path through the center of town. Brax is saying that he just needs to grab some things quickly in town. And
So I tell Braxis when we get to him and we're told we're not taking horses, kind of clap him on the shoulder and tell him not to worry. Brother Stormhawk will help us on our journey.
He looks like slightly confused, but responds along the lines of like, "All right, if you say so." And asks, "So what brings the two of you together? You look to be an unlikely pair, if you don't mind me saying." Anybody want to field that?
I think you know about as much about why we're together as you do, Braxis.
Not old-time friends?
Not yet.
All right. He like...
All that breathe are family, Braxis.
Sorry, what did you say?
All that breathe are family, Braxis.
All the brie?
All that breathe are family.
Oh, okay. I was like, what the fuck? All the cheese? What? All the breather family. Okay, it kind of gives you like a sidelong glance, and all right. And it's like as you two are, or as the three of you, you know, kind of Brax is just making small talk, kind of head by towards number 10 on the map. And you get the like slight impression, and you kind of maybe wondered before, that he might be already a little bit drunk. But he says, You boys
Excellent.
ever been to the Velvet Vale yet? And he turns to Iron and goes, bet a half dragon like you could do some bleeding damage with you got packing under there, kind of like slapping to your kilt, looking over at the Velvet Vale, which is like the town whorehouse, essentially. Any response, Iron? He's flicking at your dick.
All the breather family.
I can't help but laugh because I've had nothing to say back.
All right. He looks back to you. All right, strong silent type. All right, okay, I'm down with that. He says, all right, we're just going to stop here. And he heads into, no, I forget. This is bad DMing. Oh, Malthimmer's. Malthimmer's the merchant.
Traders?
Sorry?
Is it the traders? Is
Yeah,
that what it is?
yeah. Malthimmer's. Malthimmer's was a trading post that you can kind of like get anything at. He says he's just picking up some general supplies in here, like just, like food and for the journey and, like you said, some bandages and stuff like that. On the way out, he comes back out and like starts packing his gear and everything like that, and says, this isn't necessarily part of what Bay Grill had in mind, but he left it up to me to buy provisions. And he tosses the both of you a bottle of like a milky white fluid. Says, if you run into trouble taking too many wounds, just drink this and you'll probably feel better.
I'd like to uncap it and smell it and see if I recognize it.
Why don't you make an Arcana roll? You don't, especially due to your background, you don't like specifically notice a smell that you could say put a word to, but it does smell like anything that you could be remembered of that you associate with health, like a medicine sort of smell to it. You know what I mean?
Maybe like I recognize it from one of the tribe.
Sure, poultice kind of vibe. Yeah, has a similar vibe to it.
And I assume that I don't recognize it by sight.
No.
Yeah. Not quite as curious as to open it, but
right. No, I mean, considering both of your backgrounds, I don't think that it would be like
common.
Yeah, not incredibly common. I don't know.
I would just comment that I remember they would rub this on wounded warriors in my tribe.
He kind of like gives you a look and
Something that smells like this.
Probably something to that effect. All right, guys, you ready to leave town, or is there anything you need personally before we go?
Yeah, just at some point along the trip, either before or after the provision, when we picked up the provisions, I just comment offhandedly that I somehow fear that us being on foot is mostly because they just don't want to risk losing good horses.
Well, I know that personally I'm being punished. I don't know what your excuses is or why you guys might be on foot, but I mean, hey, I wouldn't waste horses on you either.
I'll just hope it's part of your punishment.
Yeah.
My tribe wasn't lucky enough to ride horses large enough to carry me.
Yeah, he looks you up and down and says, I don't know how many horses exist in Faerun that could carry you, friend. All right, let's go.
Probably true at the Velvet Vale as well.
Maybe true. Kind of like laughs at that and says, I don't know, you might be surprised. If you can't find a horse in there, you might find something else to ride. Now, let me see. Oh, fuck. Did I export him? Sorry, we're doing a little... Oh, sweet. I did. Now, you guys could choose to snoop his info if you're so inclined, but you'll probably enjoy it if you don't better. So just leave that character alone. Well, I find a token for him.
Did you just import Iron Lung?
No, I imported Braxis.
No, I'm goofing on you because
Oh,
Braxis.
oh. No, it is a different character, but I did think of you when choosing that. Fuck, oh, there it is. I was gonna say, I thought I bought a token for this. There we go.
So dark and mysterious, Braxis.
He's got shorter hair than that, but anyways. So yeah, you guys head out the road to the south, which is, despite this map, is across the ford, past the White Hart Inn and further south, which I will pop open a different map for you here. Okay, so you guys, despite moving south into the forest of Cormanthor, you actually do cross across the ford, and then sort of follow the river to the south. Despite the road being on the northern side of the river, Braxis explains that being on foot will be easier, as due to the fact that you're not on horseback. It'll be easier to travel on this side of the road and not worry about crossing the river later, and just using the path that is on this side. By now, it's getting close to noon, and it's a warm, very clear summer morning. Again, the natural forest is a very peaceful place with, birds chirping and bugs buzzing type of atmosphere. The river is wide but shallow and not incredibly fast moving. So if I had to try and sort of like illustrate the situation, I would say like a not so southern states. Do you know what I mean? Like a slow meandering river. I don't want you to think like the dense jungle environment of like the southern states, but like north of that.
Can we tell how deep it is just by sight or not?
I mean, not by sight. It's wide enough that that not by sight. But it's not the river Ashaba is sort of known for not being that deep.
Okay.
There are many ships that can't make it all the way up. Not to mention the fact that the ford in Ashabenford is like good luck getting a ship through there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's like waist high. So if that. So yeah, towards the south it starts to widen up a bit, but trade north on the Ashaba is weird for that reason. So you're on a slightly worn path. I mean, it's a substantial path until you guys get to the forest, and you're following again directly along the river. But it starts to get less worn as the day goes on, and sort of just as the light is starting to shift into what you guys might be thinking of early evening, like 5, 6 p.m. in the summer months, the path is almost ready to sort of disappear. You've probably traveled right down to, see the E in Assembria and the R in Cormanthor, maybe like slightly less than half the distance between there.
Okay.
So about 20 miles or so. When Braxis, like kind of like stopping to check his bearings and back and forth, sort of says that it's about this point that he figures that you guys should change your movement and cut sort of directly west into the forest to find the camp that is making question too.
So has Braxis been drinking this whole time or not? Just out of curiosity, since he had a bit of a thing going on while we were in town, and it's been a while now.
Well, the three of you have progressively drank from flasks throughout the day, or wineskins or what have you. If he's actually been consuming alcohol, he hasn't made it apparent to you.
Okay.
I don't know if you'd be so brazen to straight up and ask, or like,
No. Just wondering if it's obvious or if it's
Sure.
subtle.
Well, his demeanor has essentially been the same since you've met him, which is sort of gruff and not... He's sort of like... both cold and friendly are not accurate terms. Like, he's sort of like a rough and tumble kind of like dirty character. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
the way I'm envisioning him as sort of the human incarnation of the prototypical
Dwarf.
rowdy dwarf.
he could be. He could. Okay, you're not far off in maybe his sense of humor, but there is like a what's the term I'm looking for? Not darker, but like a blacker sense of humor. Do you know what I mean? Like, slaughtered 1,000 people. Cool. You know what I mean? Like along that lines of like nothing is sacred and a little bit darker sense of humor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
He's
I'm
like
sure you
asshole
probably...
bartender.
Yeah. Yeah. Dirty asshole bartender. Probably not far off. Sure. So you guys cut into the forest, which at this point is pretty dense, and you're smashing your way through, trying to be as quiet as possible. What I would like out of the both of you is... Oh, I'm going to get really fucking creative here. I want a nature check and a stealth check from both of you.
Okay. So just as an aside, if the underbrush is this deep, I probably have my shield on my back, and I'm
Yeah, there's definitely
kind
no
of
weapons drawn here. You guys are
yeah.
pushing trees and vines out of the
Yeah.
way for sure.
All right, stealth here.
Okay.
Ooh, looking good.
No, you know what? This is good enough. Yeah. 16, 16, 11, 8. It's the average of 11, 8, 9.5. Yeah. That's close enough to 10, and Iron Lung did well enough that I'm gonna let that slide. Okay. There's a T. I'm a little bit drunk, not gonna lie. What the fuck is this? Oh, that's why I'm in the wrong thing. Okay. So let's say, why don't you guys move south until you can see the revealed portion of the map? It should be a small section in the bottom corner. Do you see it?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we're going to say you guys come sort of crashing to the edge of this wood here, being as delicate as possible. Braxis, though quote, leading, has definitely, like, not felt the urge to sort of, like, have any sort of dominance over the two of you, and there's definitely, like, a very friendly sort of vibe to the whole experience. So you guys come to the edge of this brush. Actually, I'm going to do this. And though Braxis is in the lead, he kind of, and you guys are very closely following.
Now, curiosity, north is to our
This
left.
is actually opposite. North,
okay.
You are actually traveling, or I guess north would be close to your... Fuck. If you wanted to ask me north, literally, not that it really matters here, but it would kind of be northeast here. North would be east.
Okay.
So you guys have been traveling west. And yeah, so north would be east. But it's not perfect. And I mean, to be honest, it doesn't matter in this regard. You can say north, and I'm going to assume it's north in regards to the map and not to the way that you were originally traveling.
Yeah.
So you come to a clearing. And Braxis kind of halts you guys. Sorry, this is like time consuming to reveal this based on what you guys can see. Let's see, you can see it here. And it's, let's say, early evening, so probably about like 8 p.m. or so. You probably would have camped by now if it wasn't for the fact that Braxis was kind of pushing you guys on, knowing that you were coming towards the camp soon enough, and that you wanted to maybe catch them by nightfall.